If you've seen a few videos on my channel, you'll know that JEPQ, or JEPQ, is one of my favorite monthly dividend ETFs to invest in. And the reason why it's one of my favorites is because I'm already pretty heavily invested into tech stocks. Most of my portfolio consists of those fast-growing tech companies. But I also really like dividend income as well, so it's kind of the perfect combination of capital growth, since it tracks the Nasdaq, and consistent monthly income from the dividends that it pays. And when I say growth, I'm obviously referring to long-term growth. If we look at the short-term returns of the Nasdaq, we can see that it's slowed down quite a bit over the past few months. But even with how choppy the markets have been, I'm personally still bullish on funds like JEPQ, and I've actually been buying more shares recently, and I plan on buying even more going forward into these next few months as well. So JEPQ has a current dividend yield of 11.17%, which I know this number kind of fluctuates a little. One month it might be a little higher and another month it might be lower, but it tends to hover around that 11 to 12% range. And even though the markets have been pretty volatile over the past few months and even years, its total return since inception about 18 months ago is still 11.15%, and that's of course including dividends. What I really like about JEPQ as well is the fact that because of the way it's structured, is actually less volatile than the Nasdaq, but still beats out the S&P 500 in the long term. And when it comes to its expenses, the fee is definitely not as low as other Vanguard or Schwab funds, but it currently has an expense ratio of 0.35%. But honestly, if you're getting around 12% in dividends every year with exposure to capital growth as well, that 35 basis point fee shouldn't be something to worry about too much, because again, 12% in dividends paid out every month without having to really do much at all is, in my opinion, definitely worth paying that small fee every year. So like I mentioned earlier, the Nasdaq has been trending down for about 3 months now. So JEPQ has fallen as well, but not too aggressively. And like we just saw, those dividend payouts each month keep its returns nice and smooth. So it's definitely still positive this year at a 28% total return. And its current NAV or NAV is priced at $47.14, putting it a few dollars off its 52-week high of $49.48. With all that being said, let's now check out how my position in JEPQ is currently doing. So like I mentioned earlier, I have been recently adding more shares to this position. So the last time I gave an update a few months back, I had about $1,100 in it. But since then, I've bought another $700 or so, making it a total of around $1,800 or 39 shares. Now, JEPQ has been paying out really steady dividends every month this year, ranging anywhere from around 36 cents per share up to about 48 cents per share. And what's really cool about this specific position I have in JEPQ is every month as I'm reinvesting and buying more shares, the income continues to increase. We can see that all the way back to the beginning of the year, I was only averaging about $5 a month in dividends. But since then, that income has been going up as I'm both reinvesting those dividends as well as buying additional shares each month. So I'm essentially buying more income each month as I accumulate more shares. And by doing this consistently, since April, my dividend income has nearly tripled. And the upcoming dividend was announced recently at 42 cents per share. So my next payout in a few days here will be $16.29. So the little milestone that I'm hoping to reach here soon with this position is a monthly dividend that can buy at least one share of the fund. So around $50 a month is kind of the goal there. And at this rate, I should be getting to that point pretty soon, most likely within just a few months. I also have a smaller position in JEPI. It's about $1,400 or 26 shares, but I haven't been adding too much to this position recently because I've mostly been focusing on building up my JEPQ position. But I have been getting just under $10 a month in dividends from this position and plan on holding it for at least a couple more years. And I know there's still a lot of uncertainty and fear in the markets right now. We did have a little bit of a rally this last week, but despite all the fear and what prices do, I'm going to continue to buy JEPQ and increase that monthly dividend income. And the main reason why is because my timeline as a younger investor is going to be a lot longer than someone who's planning on retiring soon. So as of right now, I plan on increasing the amount of shares I have in JEPQ for at least the next 10 plus years. But I'll definitely make sure to update you guys on this position every so often. So let me know what your thoughts are on my position in JEPQ or just the ETF in general. I also have other videos just like this on my channel, so feel free to check out some of the other ones that I've made, and I'll see you next time.